Chapter 5: The Glamour of Hope. (2013) February, Napa, X14. When the Napa transport guard drove me back through the razor wire-lined gate of the secured treatment area, I felt like I was due the same fanfare as a returning soldier from some battle in the ancient world. Jail had been hard on me, but now I was ready to use the resources at hand to try to put my life back together. "So have you been here before?" the guard asked. "Yeah, a little over a year ago," I told him. "Then you saw it in its heyday. Things have changed since then. What unit did they have you on?" he questioned. "X4? Is that where you're taking me now?" I asked him, expecting a yes. "Looks like we're taking you to X14. It's an alright unit. You'll do fine there," I was told. Once we arrived, the guard rang the doorbell and waited for a short nurse to open the door and let us in. "Welcome, Mr. Stoltzner," she said as the guard removed my shackles. "Do you want a quick tour?" "Sure, that sounds great. I'm excited to be here," I told her as the guard let himself out. "Over here we've got the big day room. Across the hall is the smaller day room. We've got a small computer room. Payphones are in the hallways. We do a couple long courtyard breaks. We'll be doing one just as soon as I'm done with you. There are bathrooms down these halls. The rest you'll figure out. Just ask your roommates, they'll tell you. Let me show you to your room," she said as she opened the door to a 4-man room. "Mr. Stevens, this is Mr. Stoltzner. He's moving in. Please show him around," she insisted. "I'd be much obliged to tell him of it," he said as the nurse quickly left. "Well, what do we have here? New meat. They've got to keep the butchers fed." "Yeah, I guess so. Which bed is mine?" I asked. "Well, you could say every bed is yours if you own the world. Tell me that," he told me as I tried to figure out if it was a question or a statement. "I guess," I answered after giving up. "Which bed is nobody using?" "That one's been free since Mark left. I didn't like him. He had no tolerance for decorum," Mr. Stevens told me. "All right, everyone, time for a courtyard break. Come on and get some courtyard," the short nurse that I just met said over the loudspeaker system. "Okay, cool. I'll take this bed, the one that's free. Nice meeting you. I'm going to go check out this courtyard," I said as I tried to casually walk out the door. "There are moles. I never go near them. I stay inside where it's safe," he said as I closed the door. Being out in the courtyard gave me plenty of reasons to smile. I wasn't built to be trapped in the cinder block walls of my county jail, and I decided to spend every minute I could outside. There was a small garden plot. A bunch of the guys would stand around it and watch the blind moles stick their weird little noses out, hoping we'd all be inside so they could come take a bite of something. The peacocks would stand right outside the gate and show off their feathers to the hens. The grounds were overwhelmed with peacocks. It was a problem, but to my fresh eyes, I thought the display was awesome. Lunch was up next. I was in for a surprise when I got to the dining room. Years earlier, one of the psych techs painted all 4 walls to make a 360 Star Wars dining experience. It was a lot of fun to walk in on. I loved it. I'd only been back at the hospital for an hour and I was having a blast. "Man, you're going to hate it here," one of the guys told me. "Why? It seems pretty nice. Way better than jail," I disagreed. "If you want to get to the next level, they say you have to go to groups," he explained. "Are there a lot of them? Like, how many do they expect you to attend?" I asked. "Well, Thursday mornings, there's the rap group, and we do a unit meeting on Tuesdays," I was told quickly, expecting a longer list. "That doesn't sound so bad," I responded. "Looks like you already play their games then. I've got better things to do. My lawyer says I've only got to do 6 months. I can wait them out," he told me. "Yeah, that's what mine told me too," I agreed. I learned that X14 was established as an admissions unit, meant to transition guys from jail to hospital life. Any therapy that actually happened was considered to be a bonus. I showed up early to the rap group having no idea what it stood for. It was my first question. Wellness Recovery Action Plan. We're going to look at our lives, uncover our triggers and early warning signs, and then discover healthy coping strategies to deal with them. When you're eventually driven out of the gate to the rest of your life, you'll be carrying a document you can follow to keep you safe out in the community. And don't worry, we don't have to get it done all at once. I'm just glad you showed up. Nobody else seems to. With this kind of attitude, I'm sure it won't be long until you're off to the next step of progress," the unit psychologist told me. I wasn't able to get that pizza for my birthday, but my family was happy to come visit me soon after I arrived. "So, how much better is this round table pizza compared to what you got in jail?" Sandy asked me with a huge smile on her face. I mean, I love pizza, and the jail pizza was the food highlight every so often, but now that I'm eating this, I can't believe it's legal to call them the same thing, I told her as everyone laughed. Your father made a good joke in the lobby today. The guard opened up the deck of cards to inspect them, and he said, "They're all there, all 52 of them," Starla said to another laugh. Yeah, you got to keep them honest, Dad continued the joke. Back on the unit, I was still basking in all the new freedoms and perks of returning to the hospital. Every Saturday morning, they showed a movie on a big screen, and I had to go and check that out. I wanted to see what the larger community I'd been dropped into looked like. They removed coffee from the county jail in the middle of my stay, but now I was served a cup with breakfast and lunch. I had Starla order me a small personal radio, which was a huge addition to my life. Starla also posted the numbers of the 2-unit payphones, and I quickly got a couple calls from old friends. "How are they treating you there, Cobra?" Eli asked. "Pretty good. It's a dramatic difference from jail. I've been listening to music again. I can't believe it's been 2 years since I heard anything good. Just boring country music videos off the TV in the day room," I told him. "What else they got you doing?" he inquired. "The unit I'm on has a guitar. I've been playing that. I finished a song I started out on the coast with Roxy. It's called Planet's Xmas. At the time, I even got her to play it on John's piano while I made up the lyrics. That was one of the few times we played music together. I can still hear it." I explained to Eli as my mind wandered to brighter moments. "Well, that all sounds good. I just wanted to check in on you. Keep working on your music. I can't wait to hear it," Eli told me as we parted ways. The unit staff decided to put on a talent show. I entered and played Planet's Xmas. It went over very well. I won a bunch of coffee and some other goodies. After 2 months on the unit, I'd worked hard to earn a good reputation. All the staff knew my name and encouraged me often. I had some friends and followed a productive routine. I was very grateful for this change in my life. But one morning after breakfast, the unit psychologist had something he needed to talk to me about. "You've been doing a great job here, and I wanted to personally let you know that your efforts are not going unnoticed. That's why I'm excited to tell you to pack. You're headed off to X12 for the next stage of your journey." Bring on these groups. I'm ready to get out of here, I said to myself as I quickly packed my things and said goodbye to Mr. Stevens as he hid in the 4-man room from the blind little moles out in the courtyard. 2011, February, the coast. "Hi, C. How's your sweet little morning on the Pacific Ocean going? You're so glad you're not stuck out here with me. I guess being broke really helped you dodge a bullet on that one," Roxy exclaimed when I got her on the phone. "Yeah, I guess so. I'm fine, just working on app stuff," I told her. "Well, that sounds good. How's all of that coming?" she asked. "I've mainly been working on the Sweat Lodge music video and making Valentines for the party. I've got it all worked out in my head. I think I'm on track to pull it off, but I've still got a lot of work to do," I elaborated. "Well, I hate to admit it, but I miss you. Keep working on your projects, see? I'm the kind of woman that has to stand by the lines she draws," Roxy explained. "I couldn't respect myself otherwise, but just know I love you and I'm rooting for you." With an incalculable amount of things to do to finish the app, I slowly got myself into gear. I went into the kitchen, but the only food I saw stood on the other side of a high wall of preparation, so I just cut off another hunk of cold cheese and put it in another tortilla. As I ate, I made a juice for John and me. He was on the phone in the living room, so I left the pitcher after pouring myself a glass and headed to the porch to get stoned. When is Roxy actually coming back? I wondered as I packed the pipe with fresh bud for my outdoor harvest. Will my mom's engagement ring be ready for Roxy by Valentine's Day, if she's back by then? I continued to wonder as I prepared my morning ritual. I mean, what am I waiting for? I took my first hit. What am I doing? How does a stupid little sweat lodge get me anywhere in the music industry? Why am I out here? It's like I'm avoiding the scene back home while I'm talking about bringing it all together on some wild goose chase. I took another hit. And why am I making this app when they'll just bring that down too? Like my dad's computer, I need to get prepared. I mean, when that password gets out, it's going to be nothing but chaos. I'm not ready. I hit the pipe again as I continued to think about it all. I need to help save my dad's house. I remembered the larger calamity bearing down on my family. I need to hide my thoughts better. They're on to me. I've been too sloppy out here. Create or disappear. The phrase hit me hard and out of nowhere, and I knew it to be instantly true. But how? How do I hide the secret from the psych ops guys? I thought as I lit up a cigarette. With what I have, by making more art, hidden intentions wrapped in a bow. But whose side was that alien on from the backyard? I really don't want to mess with him in all of this. And we need a backup plan for when I'm killed, a package for the afterlife. I'll need something to eat in it. I know the Valentines are weird, but are they too weird? Like, am I going to get away with it weird? Create or disappear. I'm on it. I put out my smoke as I went back in the pump house to get to work. With the rest of the day before me, I got busy. I brought the canvas strips that I use as the background of the Cobra Industries Lego music video shoot with me. I wrapped tools and other debris in the strips and put them in a 5-gallon bucket. I poured fabric dye over it and figured that would be all the work I needed to do to get them ready to be the skin of the sweat lodge. I still took time to smoke and stare out at the ocean. Even though I had a lot on my mind, I wasn't able to observe any one thought for more than the time it took to think it. The ocean is a fitting metaphor for my time with John. Thoughts rolled in and broke with the resistance of the natural world. I was trying to change into what Roxy required of me, but I was now in crisis, even if nobody saw the full extent of why. I had a productive day too, John told me as we reconvened after a day of our own artistic pursuits. I worked up a new song, but I need to get the drum part figured out before I can go any further with it. I need to work on that tonight, so it might be loud in here, he said. That's cool. I'm just going to be decorating my Valentines with stickers. The drums won't bother me, I told him. I had about 20 blank Valentines left over. I spread out last night's work to see if there was anyone important I missed. I guess I was pretty drunk by the end of the card making. I even designated Valentines for the local police departments, the sheriff, and even the newspaper. I tried to be more surgical with the ones I had left. I filled out another 10 for people that could help with the app. Then I remembered the whole point of the project in the first place was to get one to Julian Assange in his recent confinement. I thought that might take a few attempts, so I used all of the Valentines I had left on him. By now, John was starting to work on the drums, and he was right. It was loud, so I went to the deck to smoke. There's got to be a right way to do this, I thought as I took a hit of weed. But I still don't know the password. When am I going to understand how all of this works? I took another hit as I stared into the darkness where I knew the sounds of the waves were coming from. But he's in jail. That's not supposed to have happened. Is he waiting on me to deliver the password? But I don't know how. It's not the future yet. I don't know it. I hit the pipe again. And what was that story Roxy was telling me the other day about her mom's neighbor? It sounded like she was trying to tell me that Obama is on our side with this, that I don't need to be afraid. I lit up a smoke. I don't like it out here at night. Too many eyes. I need more protection. I'm too vulnerable out here. Create or disappear. I'm trying, but am I doing enough? The sweat lodge. I should make it right now. It doesn't matter that it's dark out. I can already do it blindfolded. I should practice while John's doing his drum thing. There was a break in the drumming, and I opened the sliding glass door and poked my head inside. Hey, John, I'm going to go practice my sweat lodge. Could you time me on your phone? I quickly asked him. I'd been using a cleared-off landing by the cliff to work on the sweat lodge, and everything was where I left it. It was a dark night, but with the aid of a flashlight, I found west on my compass and felt orientated to my place in the universe. I turned off my light and began. The trick was to leave the poles at the same place on the ground every time. You'd still have to fish around for them, but knowing about where they should be made the whole thing possible. As I picked up the poles one by one, I noticed a weird side effect. The stars would shine brighter when the ends of the poles pointed in their direction. This didn't slow me down any, but I marveled at the display. I kept at it, feeling like this was the most important attempt at this project. The stars kept pulsating and lighting up as I worked. By the time I put the last pole on top, I knew what had happened. I just received the WikiLeaks password from Julian Assange through a fifth-dimensional porthole. I was so excited that I ran up the hill and burst open the sliding glass door. John was in the middle of recording his drum idea, but I had to know. How long was that? I yelled with the door still open behind me. What? That was a good one. Why didn't you wait for me to finish? The sweat lodge, how long did it take? I asked him again. I don't know. I forgot to set a timer. Could you give me another 20 minutes? I've almost got it, he pleaded. I cooked up the rest of the sausages while he finished recording. I was cautious this time. I didn't need another badly burnt finger. John and I ate as we talked about boundaries. He wanted to keep working on his song for the rest of the night. That was fine with me. I could keep quiet. I dare not say I ever had a plan or even cared about making one. But now I knew that the WikiLeaks password was stored deep inside my brain, and it was now my job to spread it to like-minded free radicals. But how? Stickers. I had a plastic grocery bag filled with the many packs I'd bought while Roxy and I made our way around Northern California. I discovered that souvenir shops often had different packs of dinosaur ones. We also stopped in a lot of thrift stores, and it would be common to find some random packs there. As I decorated my Valentines, I used these stickers to create an array of narratives that I hoped would manifest in the real world. Let me elaborate. Dinosaurs. I already had used a bunch of the good ones on a visual prophecy about Roxy and my life, but with the ones I had left over, I thought it was a fitting calling card for my efforts. Plus, I had just picked up 2 large packs that had nice gold edges on them. I had 2 packs of God's Team sports stickers. These would represent the upcoming revival that my mother would talk about. I had a lot of them and I used them liberally. Small medieval knights, wizards, and maidens. There were a lot of these in the pack. Obviously, I was the knight, Roxy was the maiden, and all my friends were the wizards working to help us build our new life together. But there was a dark knight. Who was that? I didn't know, but that's who I was protecting us from. There was a wild animal pack. These worked as a 5th-dimensional portal tied through the moleskin notebook I carried around because I put the same pack of animal stickers strategically through those pages. I also had a pack of Native American stickers I used because my dad was losing his house to the bank. I also found a couple pages of Wizard of Oz stickers at a thrift store, and those worked great on the matching Wizard of Oz Valentine. It gave them extra magic. Besides those, I can also remember that I had musical instruments, Hawaiian shirts, monster trucks, skulls and crossbones, and the classic red hearts. As I systematically added the different varieties of stickers, it really wore on the index finger I'd burnt cooking the sausage a few days earlier. The stickers were constantly getting caught on the burned area, and I assumed that's where the 5th-dimensional magic was really coming from. As I worked, I truly believed in the power and importance of all of these different stickers. But I knew my dinosaur stickers had somehow been encrypted with the WikiLeaks password too, and that this was the real mission I was doing all this work for. I took a lot of breaks out on the porch where I got lost in the frail reality of what I was doing. By the end of my best line of reasoning, I kept at it. Later in the night, John was tired of recording and sat on the couch to look in on what I was doing. I'm probably going to stay here for the party, but I like to see the looks on people's faces when you start handing these out, John said as he strummed my dad's acoustic guitar. Yeah, they're weird. It'll be fine. It's still art. I get a lot of leeway with that, I told him as I ripped off the last sticker of the night. Do you have any tape? Tape? What kind? He asked. Like duct tape or something? I explained. John got up and walked over to a wicker basket I hadn't seen before and started digging. I've got this black tape. It's kind of like duct tape, he said, holding up the roll. Perfect. That'll do perfectly, I told him as I caught it over my head. I'd bought a bag of fun-sized Snickers the day before, and it was already empty. So I grabbed the bag off the coffee table and turned to get my moleskin notebook off the chair behind me. I put my notebook in the Snickers bag and folded the extra bag around it nicely and taped it up completely. I'm going to ignore how wasteful this is and just ask why, John said without missing a beat. Well, I mean, come on, I got to decorate it first, I told him. I took out my gold and silver pens and wrote, "Oh, Mooney," and drew a crescent moon. I dug deep in my bag of stickers and pulled out a pack of fake mustaches and put one across the bottom. Below that, I wrote "failsafe" with big gold letters. I also drew a light switch on the back and wrote "Clue 1. Feeling a sense of accomplishment, I tossed it over to John, where he gave it a quick inspection. I hate to ask, but who is this for? He said. I'm surprised you don't know. Think about it. It just screams Jen. 2005, St. Joseph's. Fine, I'll shave off my beard, but I'm going to leave a mustache. I compromised to be cast in a short film for the upcoming local film festival. After the shoot was over, we all stopped by a rock show happening in downtown Nevada City. Everyone loved my new mustache. I was starting to like it as well. It was fun, and I saw no reason to get rid of it immediately. Jen had recently quit a band that used mustache in its title. A few weeks after my mustache had been established, Jen and I were joking around on the porch at St. Joe's with whomever else was around that night. It's so pointy. How do you get it so pointy? Jen asked me with a chuckle in her voice. It's called mustache wax. I found it at the drugstore. It's funny, if I don't wash it out before bed, I wake up the next morning with the whole thing looking like a blown-up firecracker, I told everyone to a laugh. How long are you going to keep this ridiculous thing? I mean, you want to have a girlfriend someday, don't you? Jen exclaimed to more laughter. Well, I figured I'd keep it till I got invited to replace your old bandmate and become the new mustache in your life, I said to more boisterous communal response. Yeah, we'll call it Madam and the Mustache, Jen joyfully proclaimed. A few days later, I showed up at Jen's art studio with my guitar. She was working on a painting of some goddess with peacocks standing around. We're not really going to do this, are we? It was a good joke the other night, but I don't know how funny it's really going to be, Jen told me as she tried to back out. Yeah, I know, I might shave this thing off any day now, but let's write one song and post it online, at least to bug your old music partner, I told her. We made progress quickly. We decided to use leftover song ideas we both had and musically stitch those together. This created a fun back-and-forth singer-songwriter duet. Our lyrical styles and topics fit together well enough to not seem as haphazardly assembled as they really were. We were having fun and pretty quickly had a couple songs. We played our first show in town opening up for Eli. Jen dressed in a corset and other Victorian garb, and I did my best to also look from that era. You two were a hit. Everybody tries to be so serious with their performances. It's so refreshing to see you two just get up there and have fun. The music was great too. I hope you both keep working this up. This could really be something, Eli told us after the show. Now that we had good reason to continue the project, Jen thought it was best to set some ground rules for us to keep working together. I've had problems in the past and I don't want to again, so you're not allowed to fall in love with me. That's my only rule, she exclaimed as she worked on her peacock goddess painting. That's fine, I can assure you I won't, but I have one condition as well, I told her. And what's that, she asked. I don't feel comfortable with all the tarot card and astrology chart stuff. I'd prefer it if I didn't have pressure from you to read my life in that way. That remains off limits, I said. Okay, I can back off with that. I guess we're going to need more songs if Eli's already asking us when we can play again. Jen told me as she put away her painting and got out her small guitar. Quickly, Madam and the Mustache were playing around town regularly and starting to get gigs in Sacramento. We had a lot of fun playing as a duo and enjoyed that the music came together so effortlessly. Sam courted visual attention. He often wore from his large collection of 90s Dayglow hammer pants unless he was working on one of his cars. He liked to talk eccentric gibberish. He looked good in his black, mid-length wizard beard. He showed discipline at bars and parties. He was a fun addition to the scene when he was around. Sam had just returned home after being on tour for the better part of a year. He was one of the bigger musical success stories that the town had produced, and Jen and I were both happy to see him in the crowd at one of our shows. A few weeks after that, he invited us over to his house to talk. I'm really busy right now finishing up this tour, but after it wraps, I'd like to start work on a record with you two. I can already hear the approach I'd like to take with the drums and bass. I like to do both and generally be responsible for the overall production. But with all your energy and character, if we capture that, I don't think we can lose. Jen and I knew the project would be blessed by having Sam on board, so we casually continued to work and perform until he was ready. But waiting around to work on some half-baked, leftover musical ideas I had years earlier didn't really scratch any artistic itch, so I kept writing on my own. I knew with Jen, Madam and the Mustache had a limited lifespan. It was just impossible to tell what that was going to be. 2013. April, Napa, X12. Wow, a guy with glasses. You look too smart to be here. A jolly gnome-like patient told me as I waited in the day room. Yeah, I guess. What's this unit like? I asked. Pretty good. It's pretty good mostly. It's supposed to be group time right now, but it doesn't look like anyone showed up again, he explained. Again, I thought this unit offered a higher level of treatment, I began to argue. I don't know anything about that. If you want to go to a bunch of groups, you're going to have to wait till they put you on a unit that goes to them all. We don't. We just do a couple of groups in this day room. But keep wearing those glasses. I bet they'll move you along quickly when they see you in them, he told me. Seeing the relaxed group requirements was disappointing, but I still retained my optimism for the overall 6-month hospital stay that Lily teased was possible. After I got settled, I quickly realized that other patients were bad barometers for realistic information on how the hospital actually worked. Fortunately, word of my recent talent show victory reached the music therapist on the unit. Her name was Kara. She sang and played piano. She wore a big, bright smile unless the situation called against it. Everybody liked her. She quickly broke down the hospital system for me. For you, it's about how long we've witnessed your stability. Everyone knows your meds work. Everyone knows you function at a higher level, but due to the seriousness of your crime, we've got to put you under the same scrutiny that we do everyone else. Just show up to whatever groups we're running and wait it out. The discharge unit is always looking for new people, but just understand that you've got to put in your time like everyone else here. Hey, Starla, I'm glad I got a hold of you. This new unit is weird about the phones, I immediately explained. Hi, C. Yeah, we were wondering when you were going to call. How's it over there? She asked. Challenging. Definitely not what I was expecting. There's only one phone for all the guys. I started to tell her, but she interrupted me. Wait, what? Does that mean there are women on the unit too? She asked. Yeah, one of the wings is for the women, but the men aren't allowed to go down there. The women have one of the pay phones, and 2 wings of male patients have to share the other one. We all get issued phone times, 20-minute windows where we get to make and receive calls. I'm pissed about it. I don't know how we're going to manage this, I said in extreme frustration. It's okay, C. Relax. We've been through worse. Starla tried to console me from 90 miles away. I know, but I was just starting to get calls from my old friends. I don't know how to be available for that when we've got to be so closely tied to this new phone system. It completely takes away the hope of a random call. I hate it, I said as I began to flash. It's going to be just fine. Don't worry about it. How's the rest of the unit? Is there anything you like about it? She inquired. No, I flat out told her. Come on, how about a little positivity? There's got to be something, she asked again. We have a music therapist on the unit. She seems nice. She has a lot of guitars and she said I can play them whenever. I gave Starla a small silver lining. Well, there you go. See, it's not all bad. Now about the phone time. I'm guessing it's now. Let's figure this out. Starla told me as we made plans to revolve our lives around it. Living on X12 was always doable, but I found it to be constantly unpleasant. I was living in a 5-man room, and my bed was right against the door. All night, it opened to the bright light of the hallway and then slammed shut onto the industrial door hardware. This was exhausting until I discovered a classical music station to drown it out with. Now I only had to get used to sleeping with loud earbuds in. Without making a list of all the general downgrades, the more elusive problem was the pervasive vibe of the clientele. This was a dead-end unit, a place where they put people to forget about them. I knew that I'd be the exception in the long run, but whenever I looked around the day hall at a Saturday night's bingo game, it felt demoralizing to think of them as my peers. My only way to cope was to put up walls and not get involved in the lives of such sad people. Now that I was getting to check out a guitar regularly, Kara got me an audition for the hospital band, the Goblet of Rock. It didn't go all that well. I had forgotten too many chords in the years that I languished in jail, but I picked up a bass for a while and did fine locking down the low end. They invited me back, and soon I was performing around the hospital. Even though it just felt like something to do, once I'd be back on the unit, it also felt like the highlight of my hopeless weeks. Everything felt complicated. It was all hard to process. I kept showing up to the groups. I got a weekly taste of the treatment mall, an afternoon work group for my rap plan. It was in the computer lab. I spent most of my time trying to figure out how to use the rap plan template. As I struggled, I'd often wonder how I figured out so much WikiLeaks stuff and crashed my dad's computer, all while I was generally so incompetent with technology. The unit also had a substance recovery group. I knew it wouldn't look good in the long run for me to skip it, so I went and tried to say little. I think it's a good question. Will it ever be safe to use drugs again? Let's talk about it. Kara asked the group with 15 minutes left. I say no because I have a mental illness and it could make it worse, one of the female patients added. Wow, good answer. I can really see you thought it out. All right, who's next? Kara continued around the room. I don't want to use anymore because drugs killed my mom and I want to do better for my kids, another female patient responded. Yes, our children are positive reasons to want to change and do better. I think that's a great answer, Kara told the woman. C, how about you? Do you think it will ever be safe for you to use drugs again? Well, I'm willing to follow the rules and guidelines of the outpatient program, but as for the rest of my life, I can't really say, I explained to the group. Do you think you could someday smoke weed again? Kara asked. Maybe, I told her. After the group, Kara pulled me aside. There's nothing wrong with you giving an honest answer, but if you really want to make some progress, it would be best to start thinking about your sobriety and how it affects the nature of your mental illness. With nothing else better to do but lie on my bunk, I thought about Kara's advice. Until now, I assumed my mental illness was responsible for all my problems. I mean, I only smoked pot heavily for a year and a half. I couldn't be an addict for that. I thought deeper about the possibility that marijuana was a huge problem for me. The more I did, I found internal evidence to support Kara's guideful nudge, but this conclusion still took time. I was given a couple days' notice. The outpatient program from Sacramento was making its annual rounds, and I had my first interview. My 6 months of treatment that was legally required was just about up, and I was getting my chance to prove I was ready for another chance out in the community. Everything looks great, Mr. Stoltzner. Your verbal account matches what I read in your file. You know your stuff. I would like to see more work on your substance abuse issues, but I believe you'll be the right fit for our program when the time comes, the friendly outpatient therapist told me. When the time comes, no, I'm ready now. My 6 months are up. I'm ready for your program now, I calmly pleaded with the shock and confusion of what I just heard. I'm sorry, Mr. Stoltzner. It never works out that fast. With a case like yours, I can see you joining our program sometime in the next 4 years, I was kindly told. A week later, I was still trying to process this defeat when I was presented with some good news. Hey, you must be C. I'm the unit supervisor over on X17. The staff here tells me you've been working hard to get to the discharge unit, and I'm here to tell you that the discharge unit has got an opening for you. How does that sound? Are you ready for a change? A tall, bald man gently said with a smile on his face. Yes, I told him without hesitation. I can be ready to leave whenever. 2011. February, the coast. John called me this morning. He's kind of worried about you. He says that you've been acting weird. Roxy said, half concerned and half annoyed. That's funny. It's funny he would say that. I took a hit off the weed pipe. I think he's the one that's been acting weird. I think something happened on that trip because he's not the same, from what I can see. I explained to Roxy, who was fully aware that I was getting stoned but said nothing of it. Listen, C, if that's the case, I'm not going to call you anymore. I want you to start calling me, and if things get too weird, you don't have to stay. You can always go back to your dad's, she suggested. I mean, for the most part, it's fine. I'm getting a lot done. I took another hit. It must be hard for him with everything he's going through. John and I were both feeling a little bit stir-crazy, so we made ready for town and hit the road. We stopped at the grocery store with the pizzeria. We didn't get far with our slices as they were quickly devoured in the parking lot. Afterward, I went inside and got another pack of Hot Wheels Valentines and 4 boxes of Forget-Me-Not candy hearts. From there, we crossed the street so John could fill up some 5-gallon water jugs outside another grocery store. I went in to grab a pouch of rolling tobacco. I immediately got in line behind one other customer. Since I was only buying tobacco, which they kept behind the register, I didn't have anything set down and partitioned off on the conveyor belt. As I waited, an older woman got behind me in line. She was only buying a bottle of wine and a plastic purple wine opener. Once the customer ahead of me was finished, my sense of time slowed down and warped the edges of my vision. As I tried to understand what was happening, the cashier tried to grab the bottle of wine, which was next in line on the conveyor belt. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get this. The woman joked with me over the cashier's mistake of who was buying the bottle of wine. You're not going to get this. She was still laughing about it as I pulled myself together to ask for the tobacco. Then I looked over at the purple wine opener. It was just like one Roxy and I took from a motel we stayed at in Mendocino a few months earlier. But what I was noticing now was a big barcode sticker on it, staring me right in the face. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get this. It was a warning from Julian Assange, a fifth-dimensional alarm that trouble was on the way. The barcode, it represented the psychops team that was watching me with the Valentines, and now Roxy was the target. You're not going to get this. It echoed in my head as I left the store and walked out to John waiting in the car. I need some change, I told him. How much? He asked. Like 50 cents, I answered. I've got it here. He reached his hand over and dropped the change into mine. What for? I've got to make a quick call, I said as I turned to walk over to the payphone. Roxy had recently gotten a new cell phone number. I luckily remembered it and got her voicemail. I had to warn her, but I couldn't make it that obvious either. I heard the beep. Here goes nothing. Clark Kent, Clark Kent, Clark Kent, I exclaimed as I hung up the payphone. I got back in the car. John was now driving and looked a bit curious. What was that about? He asked as he looked to see if a car was coming. That? Nothing. I saw something funny in the store and had to tell Roxy, I answered. It couldn't have waited till we got home. You had to waste my change on it? He said with a bit of frustration. I'm sorry. I'll get you back, I replied. Funny, Roxy didn't even bring up my message when I talked to her an hour later. She had some concerns of her own. I just don't like their dynamic. It's not respectful. I don't ever want to turn out like that, C. Sometimes I can't believe I'm related to these people, Roxy told me of her day with her family. Yeah, family can be rough. I took an unabashed hit off the weed pipe. It's amazing how some people can be so oblivious. C, are you messing with me? She countered my statement. Me? No. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I asked in complete honesty. I don't know, but it's like you're always straddling these two diverging wavelengths, she said. Try 3 or 4. It's like the Wild West in my mind these days. It should make for an interesting app, I explained. It's like behind your humor hides the sad sense of the actual reality you live with. It's like you get what I'm thinking but have no conscious way of letting me know. Does that reach you? She posed me with the toughest question of the night. Yes, I answered as I took another hit. Yes? Yes, how? So you're telling me you are aware of the complex nature of your jokes, that you're not just trapped in your mind, mocking the efforts of everyone around you, working hard to make something special out of their lives. You're telling me you're completely aware of this? Roxy elaborated. Oh, I was saying yes to that? Put me down for a no then. I'm not even sure what we're talking about, I told her as I turned the last darkened piece of weed into ash. It's late. I shall let you go. You've got important sticker work ahead of you. She started her goodbye. My index finger had taken all the abuse it could, and I felt a sense of completion. I knew I properly clear-cut the former forest that was my sticker collection, so I grabbed a small dinosaur lunchbox that Sandy had given me and carefully filled it with my wares, starting with Doc and ending with the mole. I wrapped a white skull bandana around the outside and tied it as tightly as I could. Now that I was done with the first stage of my WikiLeaks assignment, I set it down on the chair next to Jen's failsafe book. John had recently moved a big pile of sticks into the garage to keep them dry from the rain. He asked me if I could break them into kindling. No problem, I told him. I had a rough start. They weren't breaking over my knee easily, and my only reward for my efforts was pain. Then I stopped and just listened to the music on the radio for a second. The beat. I was missing the beat. I tried again with another stick. Crack. Right in half. I picked up another. Crack. It broke with the beat too. After a couple more victories, I got distracted by thinking about the sweat lodge. I realized its success would revolve around the mechanical movements I made, so I started pantomiming the process. Then the music. It was them. It was time for me to know that the aliens were real. They changed my reality to the lyrics of some random pop song, like a cosmic translator. I started to cry a bit. I didn't feel as alone now that I knew about them. Then the voices started. "Cobra, it's time you know," Cole told me. "We're all telepathic. It's time you know about it," Tommy said. "You're supposed to know about me too," Sandy added. "Don't forget about me," Eli interjected. "Cobra's getting it," said the rapper Lil Wayne. "Hold on, everybody. This is all too much. I would think I was going crazy if I didn't know this was all so real. You're telling me everybody is telepathic?" I asked the invisible voices. Yep, the growing chorus answered. "Oh, I see. Then it all finally makes sense. Are you all working for WikiLeaks too?" I asked everyone. "The ones who are pure at heart do, sweet cakes," Roxy told me. "What do I do now?" I wondered aloud. "You still need to make your package for the underworld, but be careful, it's not what you think," my mom told me. "And you still need to create or disappear, but don't make a mess," John's voice added. "Now that you know about all of us, it will all be simple. When you need us, just call. It's as easy as flicking on a light switch," Cole said. "I just have one thing to add," a new voice told me. "What's that, Oprah?" I asked. "Good job, Cobra," she said. "I'm sorry that I'm crying, but this is all a bit much. Is it possible to be left alone for a while?" I asked everyone. "It's cool, Cobra. I got this," Sandy said. "All right, everybody, let's all say goodnight to Cobra." "Good night, Cobra," all the voices yelled to me like an episode of The Muppet Show. "Good night, everyone." "Thanks," I answered. Abruptly, the voices disappeared, and after a few minutes of composing myself, I returned to John in the living room. "How'd it go with the sticks?" John asked. "All right, I guess. It's funny, even when you're all by yourself, people can still find a way to bother you," I told him with a chuckle in my voice. "Yeah, like the echoes of people's expectations and criticisms?" John asked. Kind of. More like you just know what people are thinking, like some weird form of telepathy," I explained. "Right, I think I know what you mean. Hey, Cobra, are you doing all right?" "I think so. I guess the stress from this app is getting to me. I have a lot more to do tonight, but I think making some more art will take my mind off of it. But don't worry, I won't make a mess." John had a bunch of colorful candles. I melted a few of them onto my Cobra belt buckle to seal shut an envelope of small drawings I made for Claire to use on the app. Then I wrapped the still wax-covered belt buckle in a 90s video game advertisement for my old girlfriend Kim, who had given it to me in the first place. After this, John and I watched a stupid movie, and by the time we were done, it was really late. I knew the normal human being thing to do was to get some sleep, so I gave in and made my way out to the pump house. I brushed my teeth, spit the toothpaste water into the bushes, and went inside and drifted off to sleep. 2006, spring, more St. Joe's. I've got my laptop and some microphones out in the truck. What do you say we sneak into the hall and get some of these new songs of yours recorded? Francis suggested. "Okay, they're all pretty new to me, but I think I'm ready to try," I told him. "Yeah, I propped the upstairs door open so we can get in whenever. I've got a couple I'd like to record too. I love the sound of that natural reverb in there," Drew said as he cracked a beer. By proxy of hanging around with Jen, I got a chance to sublet one of the other art studios, and as soon as I moved in, I was struck by lightning. 3 of the best songs I've ever written came to me in the span of a week. That's when Francis heard them. He insisted I record a demo immediately. It was a good session. About a month later, I was ordering a beer at the National Hotel bar when someone unknown to me introduced themselves. Hey, you're Cobra, right? He asked as I noticed his face looked more familiar than the average face in the crowd. Yeah, I said casually. You're the guy that made that demo in the Catholic Hall. Francis played it for me. I loved it, he told me with a lot of energy. Thanks. I was happy with how that turned out, I replied. Yeah, you should do some more. Sorry, my name is Tommy. I grew up here in town and went to school with all these guys. I just moved back with my girlfriend, he started to explain. Oh, cool. Are you another one from that famous guitar class? I asked. Yeah, how'd you know? Those were fun days. I was wondering about your plans. I just graduated with a degree in audio engineering and I'm eager to get to work on something more serious. There's so much good music happening around here right now. It's hard to know where to start, but we should do something. I like the sound of that hall. We should maybe try to do a real record in there, Tommy proposed. After talking to Francis and Cole about the offer, it seemed like the right overall fit. I kept busy writing more songs in the new musical style I stumbled onto, which mostly revolved around alternate guitar tunings. As my art studio sublet came to an end, I talked with the man who ran the cultural center and booked the hall over Labor Day weekend for the price of $500. It wasn't hard to find friends to play on the new album, just hard to get them to show up to band practice. Francis said he'd be fine with Tommy hijacking the project if he could play bass. Tommy also wanted to play lead guitar and stay with the project beyond the recording phase. As we talked optimistically about the upcoming session, the months were flying by, and I alone was practicing the music. The week before we started recording, Tommy told me he was too busy at the moment and he'd have to figure out his guitar parts after the session. I was fine with that. Then Francis bowed out under the pressure of too many other commitments. Right after his abandonment, I got a call from Eli. Hey Cobra, what's up with you tonight? He asked with a pleasant and upbeat manner. Hey, I'm just trying to put a practice together for next week's recording session. Do you want to play bass? Are you going to be free? I asked. Sure, I can be by in 15 minutes, he said. Once we had the hall, we were plagued by technical problems. Tommy really wanted to capture something huge with the drums, and that took us 2 days to get set up properly. To be fair, Tommy was also working his normal day job. On the third day, we got the main 4 songs I worked up with the small combo. On the fourth day, we recorded my mom on grand piano and a couple solo performances of mine. I begged the man in charge for a 5th day. He agreed as long as we'd be out by 7 in the morning for a Tai Chi class. On that 5th day, besides recording more of me, I invited a cellist someone recommended. He added a bunch of layers to a song called Wanda and Me, which was our best attempt at anything complete over that long weekend. As we packed up in a hurry at 6 in the morning, Tommy and I talked about a band on the cover of a recent music magazine he'd been reading and had lying around the backseat of his car. This is who we're up against. Bands like this, the ones riding the trending tides to peak attention. Promise me, Cobra, that we'll never have to be anything as weird as them to make it, Tommy said as he picked up the magazine and tossed it out of the way. Pure silver. Everybody knows they're nothing serious. I haven't even bothered to listen to them, I told Tommy as I set down my box of gear. Well, you might be the only one who hasn't. Whatever voodoo they're doing with all those pigeon feathers, it seems to be working. I'm just saying we have to try harder and break through all the current noise. We've got to make the best music we can, Tommy sincerely begged of me. I wouldn't worry about it, I told him. I bet we don't ever hear of Pure Silver again. 2013. September, Napa, X17. I've got 2 beds open. The shift lead told me as I waited by watching The Price is Right on the TV in the day hall. You can have whichever you want. I guess I'm more concerned about what kind of guys I'll be living with. Based on the general temperament, which room do you think is mellower? I asked. I'd probably recommend the 3-man room. It's a weird shape, but the guys in it are pretty low-key, he told me. Sounds great, I'll take it, I happily exclaimed. Moments later, the hall's filled with people returning from their morning groups at the treatment mall. I saw many familiar faces from the previous units I've been on, and I was warmly welcomed. The first thing out of everyone's mouths were all the new privileges I'd be getting on the discharge unit. Among the many things I was excited about was getting to use a regular-sized pen again. I asked around about how to get one. Ask Polly. She's got a bunch of them, someone suggested. Back on X12, Kara told me that Polly would be helpful. She was another music therapist and a member of the treatment team on X17. She was energetic, wore mid-length straight blonde hair and glasses. Kara told me that she would put in a good word. Are you Polly? I asked the woman who was aggressively unpacking bags of groceries in one of the day halls. Why? Is it about the groceries? You know I'm not responsible for them. I'm just helping out. If you didn't get something, take it up with whoever usually runs this. I'm just filling in today. Polly explained as she didn't even look up from her unpacking. No, sorry, I didn't order anything. I'm new here. I was wondering if I could get a regular size pen, I asked her. A pen? Yeah, I've got some. Let me finish up with this. What's your name? Sea Stoltzner, I told her. Oh, you're the musician Kara told me about, the songwriter. Sure, come by my office. I'll get you a pen, she said as she tried to figure out who all this food belonged to. As I wandered the halls, I noticed an open door to the courtyard, a nice green open space, some trees, a basketball hoop, a worn path around the perimeter to walk, and a swinging bench overlooking it all. Another privilege. The staff leave the door open till dark. I sat on the bench, and as quickly as I caught my balance, I was called to. You want that pen now? Polly yelled out the door. Thanks. You don't know how much this means to me. I hate writing lyrics with those short safety pens. It's hard to get a grip on them, I told her as we walked to her office. Yeah, you're the new guy in Goblet of Rock. I saw you play the positive recognition event. That sounded pretty good, she said as she picked up a pile of stuff off the chair in her office. Have a seat. Well, here's where you keep the good stuff. Guitars, art supplies, industrial-sized boxes of popcorn. I made a short list. Are you sick of it yet? The popcorn? We only do it twice a month here, but back on X12 I think they do it every week, right? She asked. I don't want to bust a tooth on something I barely enjoy eating, but you know how it goes around here, I explained. Yeah, I know. She picked up a stack of folders. I checked. You're on my caseload. Oh, cool. I don't even know how this place works and what that means, I confessed. Yeah, on those stabilization units, it's pretty much the same for everyone. Now we're going to be talking about your individualized treatment plan. A lot more goes into these team meetings. I think we're going to have one for you next week, Polly informed me. Anything else I need to know? I asked. Tomorrow you're going to need to get a group schedule at the mall. Don't worry what they put you in. We'll fix it after the team meeting. Just relax and get settled in the meantime, she told me. All right. I was wondering when I could play the guitar, I said. Good question. I'll bring it up at the meeting. I'll try to leave one in the supply closet for the nurses to check out to you. If you want, you can play me something now, she offered me her ear. Oh, wow. I guess I could. We had a talent show on X14 when I got here. I could play you the song I played for that. I wrote it with my old girlfriend. She played it with me once. She was a musician too. Never mind, I'll just play it. It's called Planet Xmas. My new room was mostly peaceful, but there were short bursts of exceptional snoring from one of my new roommates. I did my best to look past it. Polly was right. I did have my first treatment team meeting the next week. At this meeting, the unit psychologist, Dr. Wells, was the most vocal. Dr. Wells started out in the Army. She was very direct and obviously enjoyed speaking harshly to the patients she managed. Her wavy, platinum blonde hair looked like it took a lot of effort every morning. So did her makeup. She was an unavoidable presence. Well, I'll admit you look good on paper, but we need to get down to the dirty nitty-gritty with you, Mr. Stoltzner. What happened is probably not as simple as it sounds. It never is. And don't get me even started on the substance abuse side of all of this. I'm going to want you in my recovery group for that. We'll be talking a lot about it, but on paper, you've got a good head start on things, Dr. Wells told me and the rest of the team. So what do you think? How much longer am I going to be here? I asked Dr. Wells. To be frank, Mr. Stoltzner, in a loss-of-life case like yours, I can't support someone who hasn't put in at least 5 years of treatment, she answered coldly. 5 years was a lot to process. At least with the occasional snoring from my roommate, I had hoped for a quicker resolution to the problem. Carl's eccentric nature fit in nice at the hospital, meaning it hardly needed addressing in comparison to everyone else. He studied the history of the Nazi Party with hopes of proving their clinical insanity. He worked hard at improving his songwriting. He was short with a thick black beard. Hey, Carl, do you snore? I asked the occasional member of Goblet of Rock. Me? No. Why? Are you thinking of taking me up on my offer to move in? It's a sweet room. I've got a TV. I'll even do my best not to drive you nuts with my guitar playing, he said with an elevated level of excitement. Yeah, let's do it. When your roommate leaves next week, I'll take his spot. 2011. February, the coast. As the sound of John backing out of the driveway echoed in the pump house, I was suddenly concerned over a book Roxy left on the corner of the desk. The Great Pyramid by Tom Valentine. I felt a great evil emitting from it. As soon as I picked it up, I knew I shouldn't have. So I stormed out of the pump house with the book in hand and made my way down the hill to the fire pit on the cliff. I held the book open on the last page and flipped through it backwards. I assumed I'd unlearn all the evil I had absorbed in picking it up. Then I ripped the book in half, and those halves in half. From there, I started ripping up any section I could get my hands on. As the pieces scattered to the ground, I gathered them up in the center of the fire pit and used my lighter to burn it all away. It went up effortlessly, and for a second I watched and felt safe. When the flames burned back to blackened ash, I saw a small section of an undamaged page and with reckless curiosity picked it up. The only bit of writing that made any sense said, "Christ took control." I took this to be a powerful message, so I used my fingernails to trim the edges. I scanned the fire pit for more meaning and saw some burnt wire and nails. I grabbed those, a lighter, and fashioned them into a monument with this new important message tightly grasped in the center. I saw a pile of oyster shells off to the side of the pit and stacked them all over the monument until it was completely covered. When I got to the top, I offered my seal of protection with a simple word: lock. As I surveyed the scene, I saw that buried at the bottom of the pile of shells was an empty shrimp-flavored ramen packet. I thought it was significant, so I took it with me, back up the hill and into the pump house. I had a lot of trash around, so I grabbed handfuls of it and wrapped up the tiny shrimp packet and lighter. I stuffed it in an old 40-ounce clean canteen bottle and then packed that with as much trash as would fit. Once I heard John pull into the driveway, I tightened up the lid and went back into the driveway to meet him. "I'm going to make fish tacos. Are you hungry?" he shouted as I walked up. "I could eat," I told him. "I got a movie called District 9. It looks entertaining enough. I've been wanting to see it," he said. "Yeah, that sounds cool," I agreed. "So I'll get started with food and we'll watch it. Give me 30 minutes. I also got you a beer," he said to entice me. The sun was about to set, so I rolled a joint, then a cigarette, and walked back down to the bench next to the shells I piled earlier. "Okay, what's the plan here?" I thought as I lit up the joint. "Oh yeah, the light switch covers I bought. Those all need God's Team stickers." I inhaled the smoke meditatively. "But I also need to work on the box for the afterlife. Food, smokes, clothes. I'm going to need a lot of things." I took another hit. "That stuffed toy mouse from when I was a baby. I'm glad I brought it. That should go in too." I exhaled again, but more intensely. "But they're on to me. I'm not sure my thoughts are safe anymore. I need to spend as much time working on nonsense as I do the important WikiLeaks stuff." I took another hit. "I think I could do something with my calendar. Pop on a couple stickers, add some paint. That will trick the PsychOps team. I also need to decorate that disposable camera. It should be part of the app too. It might be time to call in my protectors. Batman, the Ninja Turtles. Keep those guys around to watch the base." I indulged in another long drag off the joint, burning the tips of my fingers. "I forgot to call Roxy again. I don't know what's so important that I keep missing calling her. As soon as I go in, I'll remember this time." I snuffed out the joint and lit the cigarette. "I've got to get some art ready for Claire. I should just give her my old sketches of the graphic novel. Maybe she can do something with them," I thought. "Maybe I can save the house. I think the password has some extra power for that too. Wait, is my heart beating too fast? I think I smoked too much of that joint. I'm giving them too much access. I need to work, not think. Go back in there and just make things, create or disappear. But wait, wasn't I going to do something when I got inside? Shoot, I think it was important. I'll remember later. Just get up and start walking. You can finish the smoke on the way." I rose to my feet and directed them up the hill towards the house. "And Batman, if you're down here, please protect me," I said aloud. I rummaged around the pump house for well over an hour, adding stickers, paint, pens, ribbons, trash, and rubber bands to complete more packages, some being fifth-dimensional wormholes in aid of WikiLeaks, others being decoys. I was burning myself out, so I walked over to the kitchen to see how dinner was coming. No activity. John was in the living room, so I sat down on the couch with him to rest for a second. "No, it's all right. I need to make dinner anyways. I'll call you back in an hour. Bye." John pressed the off button on the cordless phone. "Sorry about that. I got distracted." "Dinner. I'm on it," he said. "Does that thing still have a charge?" I asked as John set the phone down on the coffee table. "Yeah, enough," he replied. "Good, I need to call Roxy," I told him. "Isn't it a little bit late out there?" he asked. "Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm going to do it anyways," I decided. Her phone rang 4 times, and just when I thought I'd have to quickly think up another voicemail to leave her, she answered. "Hey, I was wondering about you. What's going on out there? I haven't heard from you in a while," Roxy said in a very soft tone. "We're okay. It's been kind of weird. Am I calling too late? I don't get the time difference thing. Is it all right that I'm calling you right now?" I asked. "We can talk. Everyone is in bed. I've just got to keep it down. I was just lying here hoping you would call. Why is it so weird out there?" she asked. "I don't know. I just don't feel safe. John is acting strangely, at least some of the time. I don't know how to talk about it all," I told her. "Well, if you don't feel safe, you can always go back to your dad's house," she suggested again. "Yeah, I know. I'm almost out of art supplies anyways. I think I've mostly done what I set out here to do with my prep for the app. I just don't want to leave John all high and dry. I mean, he doesn't have a car right now," I explained. "When are you coming back?" "See, a couple days after Valentine's Day. I think the 17th, she reminded me. "Can you come back earlier? I want you to see what I've been putting together for the Valentine's Day party," I begged. "Please, I need you out here. I think you'll be surprised with what I've put together." See, I can't do that. My mom only gets so much time with me, and she'd freak if I left before ending this visit proper. I can't do that, but it's sweet of you to ask, Roxy admitted. Just relax out there if you need a break, or get creative. Make something new out of what you got left. You're going to need a lot more art to pull off this app. Okay, I'll keep at it then, I conceded. I love you so much. I just don't know what to do with myself sometimes, I told her. I love you too. I'm glad to hear you're persevering, Roxy said. I'll be back there soon. Bye, C. Sorry, Cobra. I know I said I'd have this done hours ago, John told him as he stood in front of the stove checking the fish sticks. They're almost done. I've just got to chop up the cabbage. We'll be eating in no time. It's cool, I said as I looked around the cluttered room. Hey, do you want this box? I asked. Which one? John turned around to look. Oh, the ones my new boots came in? Go ahead, take it. It's yours. I could make the case that I was planning on this moment, the moment I put together my package for the afterlife. Everything I needed to build it, I had previously set down in the kitchen. The mask, my grandfather's Mexican poncho, my childhood stuffed mouse in a protective case, and last summer's garden shoes. At that moment, they all seemed like the obvious things I'd need to battle back the dark forces and reclaim my earthly life. Or they were just physical manifestations of my scattered mind and within reach at a time of psychotic inspiration. But it was a start. Once John declared dinner was finished, I put the box aside and we both went into the living room with our plates to watch the movie. I cracked my beer. I ate my tacos. I happily watched the film. In John's selection, District 9, the characters used the term prawns as a slang term for alien refugees. I saw the connection to the shrimp-flavored ramen packet I found by the fire pit. I didn't know what it meant, just more fifth-dimensional coincidences. It was late after the movie ended, so out of habit, I went back to the pump house to get some rest. But sleep eluded me. All I could hear were the strong winds blowing up from the cliff. I was worried that the small piece of paper in the center of my monument, buried underneath those shells, wouldn't survive the night. I started crying. I felt helpless. Then I imagined the atoms of the lighter fusing to the atoms of the paper. I tried to imagine how that felt from the inanimate object's point of view. Once satisfied, I got up, got dressed, and grabbed my flashlight. The moon was full enough for me to roll a smoke, and after lighting it up, I walked back down to the cliff to see how my shells were faring. I hope this works. I hope it's about more than just aliens. I hope we discover that Christ is real too, and that the aliens are just a part of the larger universe we're about to be inducted into. I thought as I looked out at the moon over the water. This all has to mean something. I know it does. 2007, February, even more St. Joe's. After the big Labor Day recording session in St. Joseph's Hall, I was left to wonder what we'd achieve for the next few months while Tommy was otherwise occupied. As a weird twist of fate would have it, a room opened up in the big house Tommy and Sam both lived at. I took it without any hesitation and found myself living with both of the record producers I was currently working with. Hey, I said to Tommy, who was sitting on the couch after I got up around noon. Do you need coffee? I'm thinking of going down the street to get some. Nope. Tommy held up a large white paper cup to prove he had already been. But have fun, though. I sat down on the other end of the couch. I don't really want to walk, but my car is parked down the opposite street. I've got to get it eventually. I opened my pack of Blue American Spirits to see how many I had left. You got one of those for me? Tommy asked. I have one. I guess you can have it, but that means I've got to drive to the gas station to get more on my way for coffee, I complained. Yeah, but don't you have to do that anyways? He countered. Yeah, I guess I do. Here, take it, I said as I gave into his logic. What are you doing? Writing this guy an email. He's selling something we need for the record. A large patch bay. It'll make things go a lot faster, Tommy explained. Oh, but that can't fix the last session we did in the basement, I asked. Short answer, no. It just doesn't sound right mixing the stuff we did in the big grand hall next to stuff we recorded in our muted basement. I think we've got to get back in the hall if we're going to do this right, Tommy concluded. Yep, I'm broke again. I spent all the money I made trimming weed last fall on rent. I can't keep living here, I told him. What are you going to do? Tommy asked. Move back in with my parents. I've also been offered one of the studios at St. Joe's, I told him. Me too. Whose? I'm taking over Jim's, Tommy said. Oh, cool. I'll be across the hall in Brian's. I want to start working on the record cover. You've seen the idea from the science book I have, I reminded him. Oh, yeah. You'll have to show me again. Tommy gently shut his laptop, giving me his full and undivided attention. You know what we could do? What? I asked. Once I'm all set up in Jim's studio, we could run an XLR audio snake out my door, across the hall, through your new studio, out your window, and around the back deck. We just have to remember to unlatch the upstairs door to the hall, and we could sneak back in at night and finish the record that way, Tommy said with a smile on his face. We could probably make it work with only 200 feet of cable. I've seen them sell used for as cheap as $200. Do you think you could swing that? He said. If that's what it takes to get this done, I can. I got up from the couch and checked my pocket for my keys. Yeah, I think that could work. Now that I had my own art studio, painting the album's cover was the easy part. But motivating Tommy to actually work on the music was hit or miss. Some days he'd be excited to record, other days he wouldn't. We made slow progress. After 4 months of work on a psychedelic, geographic, semi-pointillist land cutout of Northern California for the record cover, I thought I should keep going with the general idea and make more art for the album. The new paintings continued to take little effort, and I made progress rapidly. One evening in early spring, I heard an unfamiliar sound as I painted in my studio. I got up from my generic metal folding chair and walked down the hall towards the door. It was unusually locked, and someone was on the outside ringing the doorbell. I opened it. Hey, C, how are you? These are my friends from college, April and Gwen. They wanted to check out Nevada City, and I thought no trip is complete without a stop to St. Joe's. An old friend greeted me with a lot of information. Why is the door locked? What's going on here tonight? I don't know about the door, but Drew's down in the city. I haven't seen Jen around either. I'm just painting in here, I told them. Can we see? Gwen asked. Gwen studied art at the closest university. She instantly loved my paintings. My facial hair was a close second. She had jet black hair and liked to wear dresses. We started dating pretty quickly. She was the first to discover that the trick to a successful relationship with me was to pursue me harder than I tried to pull away. I liked her. She was very encouraging with my art, and I knew to keep her around, I needed to keep making more. As I started getting comfortable with having my first girlfriend, there was trouble brewing at home in Alta Sierra. See, I think it's from the mold in my bathroom. I don't think those guys that tested it knew what they were talking about, my mom said with a bloody tissue held up to her nose. Mom, they said it was just a common bathroom mold, and they're the ones who should know. Maybe we should bring you in to see a doctor if it's turning out to be this much of a problem, I told her. A doctor? See, I've been playing harp in the healing rooms for a couple years now. We're trying to establish a new way of thinking about disease. If that's your only solution, then we're just going to have to pray harder. That's the whole point, to give God the glory in healing us, not some doctor, she said strongly, disagreeing with my idea. Fine, Mom. Just tilt your head back till the blood stops, I compromised. As my mother suffered quietly at home, I had a great life going for me in town. I kept coming up with interesting new paintings, including one for Eli's big new album. Tommy's progress was starting to add up on the hall recordings, too. Sam was back from tour and giving Madam and the Mustaches album its needed attention. Gwen enjoyed playing her part in my life's magic, and I did my best to be a reasonable boyfriend. But my delayed development as a partner was obvious, and I spent most of our time together marveling at the novelty of having a girlfriend. As the summer was coming to an end, I was at a local basement show when I got a call from my dad. I was already sitting down on the curb outside when he broke the news. See, it's some kind of cancer. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's in her sinus area, my dad said without the usual humor in his voice. I don't know, see. It's all too much. After a minute of silence, I tried to unscramble the static in my head, then proceeded with the call. Dad, did you tell Starla and Sandy yet? I asked. No, can you? I was barely able to make this call, he told me with much repressed emotion in his throat. Yeah, Dad, I'll go and find them. Dad, try to relax. I'll be home soon. 2011, February, the rest of my time on the coast. Just tell me where you want me to stand, John said. How about over there, but get low. Film the pile of shells more than me, I explained. Okay, here we go. I moved into position. Unlock. I removed the shells one by one, throwing them off to the side. Things got confusing once I got to the lighter, the wire, nails, and the burnt message I saved from the book. I had remembered it read, Christ took control. But now, after the night on the cliff, the message read, Christ took reign. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it at first. He changed a word, I said over and over again. I thought this was proof that God was a living element in all of WikiLeaks' plans, so I lit the small piece of paper on fire. He changed a word. It's a message, I told John. It took a few minutes for me to regain my composure, but I was more than encouraged by this seeming miracle or by a mix-up in the word I remembered reading the day before. I'd even forgotten that John was filming it all. Nice. John hit stop on his iPhone. Now what? I don't know. Are we going to check out some of that game later? I asked. Oh yeah, the Super Bowl. I'd be down for a little bit of that. Let's head over to the hotel and get some burgers, he said. Yeah, can you bring your laptop? I'd love to check my accounts. I replied as I remembered that the internet existed at most places. With hours until kickoff, the mantra, create or disappear, was strong, so I continued to make packages. While I was deep in my creative process, John knocked on the door to the pump house. Whoa! "You've got quite a mess going here," he said in sort of a stunned chuckle. "You're not getting paint everywhere, are you?" "Nope. You might not remember, but I'm the cleanest painter in town," I boasted. "Well, if that's true, try picking this place up a bit for me." He kept looking around. "Are you ready? The game's starting." "I don't even know who's playing, and I bet when you tell me, I'll probably never have heard of them," John said as we sat at the bar. "Well, I can't bet against the inner workings of another man's mind, but it's the Packers versus the Steelers. I'm going for the Packers. My mom was from those parts," I told him. "What can I get you to?" the bartender asked. "Couple burgers and fries," John told him. "Anything to drink?" he asked. "I'm fine with water. Cobra?" John said. "I'll take a cola," I told the bartender as I didn't break my glare at the TV. "Coming right up. Enjoy the game," he said as he fixed our simple drinks. After a few minutes of leisurely watching the game, and in the empty silence that brought, I was bored out of my mind, so I asked to use John's laptop. "I think that ought to do it," I told John, who was busy eating his burger. "What I'd like now is for you to write Salad Buddy on my post." "I'm not going to do that," John said after a second of chewing. "I don't want to get mixed up in whatever you think it is you're doing." "You're no fun." I picked up my burger and took my first bite. "What did you say?" he asked. "You're no fun," I repeated myself. "No, I heard that. I mean, what did you write in your post?" he asked again. "Oh, just a few things about the app and how I could use people's help putting it together, but in like a fun way, like a fun community art project," I explained. "But how do you need people's help? I know you need computer programmers, but how are you going to get the community involved? And what good is it for me to say Salad Buddy?" John asked in frustration. "John, I don't know. I just do. I'll figure that part out later. I could use a little bit of positivity right now. So I asked. I put it out there. I'm trying." I took another bite. "Hey, look, a touchdown." "You guys didn't even stay for the whole game? What's so important to rush back for?" Roxy asked over the phone back at John's. "I don't know. I think we're burnt out with each other." "When are you coming back? It feels like you've been gone forever," I asked as I took a drag off a cigarette. "Like 10 more days. Can you handle that?" she questioned me. "Yeah, I guess. I just don't know if WikiLeaks can," I told her. "WikiLeaks, what do they have to do with anything?" she questioned further. "I don't know. I just get bits and pieces out here. I'm sure it'll be fine. So what were you saying about tattoos?" I changed the topic. "I just said I like that all the football players had them, but don't change the subject on me. And be honest, how much weed are you smoking these days?" Roxy dug deeper. "Weed? I haven't been smoking too much. I'm almost out of the stuff Sandy brought me from home. I smoked most of that when you were still here. But since I got started on the app, the weed just makes things confusing. And to be totally honest, it's all confusing enough without it," I told her without guard. "Okay, thanks for opening up. Is John around? I'd like to say hi if he is," Roxy said. "Sure, let me find him," I told her as I stood. John was close by, smoking into the wood stove by the sliding glass door. I didn't even have to put out my cigarette to find him. After closing the sliding glass door, I knew they were talking about me, but I was too worn out to care. As I finished my cigarette, I felt an urgent warning to leave. No tricks this time, no veiled messages to figure out. I knew the psych ops team was on their way. So as Roxy and John questioned my sanity, I was busy loading up my dad's SUV with everything I brought out to John's and half of what Roxy left behind in the pump house. "Cobra, me and Roxy are worried about you. You need to try and snap out of whatever head trip you've got so twisted up. We think the best thing for you to do is take a break from all this app stuff and just relax for a few days. I'm also worried enough that I'm going to have to hold onto your car keys until this passes," John explained as he grabbed the keys off the coffee table. "I get why both of you would think that. I'm not upset. I just don't want to be inside right now. I'm going to go out for a smoke," I told him. Now, with real opposition to me leaving, I was more convinced that I needed to leave than before. John was trying his best, but he didn't know about the spare set of keys I kept in the glove box, and with extra urgency, I quietly packed the rest of my stuff. Now it was time. I went back in the house and gave Roxy a quick call back. "Hey, I just want to tell you that I know you're worried, but I'm okay, and I'm finally going to take care of myself," I told her in all sincerity. "Thanks, C. I know you're going to be all right. It's just hard for me to tell what's going on from all the way out here," Roxy said. "Okay, I know it's late, so I'm going to go. I'll talk to you in the morning." John was quietly fingerpicking my dad's guitar on the couch as I said goodnight to Roxy. Once I hung up the phone, I had a message for him too. "Take good care of that guitar. It's my dad's," I said as John looked at me weirdly like there was a chance he wouldn't. "Okay," he said under his breath as I walked out onto the porch. Once I slammed the car door, I knew there was no turning back, so I turned the spare key, threw it in reverse, then accelerated up the driveway, and was soon driving down Highway 1. I knew I still had a pretty good head start on the psych ops team, so I drove responsibly until I reached the Russian River. I was somewhat familiar with the area and thought a less direct route home would be the safest, so I took a long, panicked, semi-backtracking 4-hour drive back to my dad's house in Alta Sierra. It was very late when I stood on top of my dad's driveway, performing an intuitive magic spell out of imagined pure light. I had done it. The Valentines had been moved closer to their intended location. Now all I had to do was wait around to see what comes next.